Okay, it is 6 o'clock on Tuesday, July 15th, and I will call this City Council regular meeting to order. For the record, tonight, Mayor Ryder is absent, Council Member Vasquez is absent, and Assistant City Manager Shannon Kelly Fong will be filling in for our City Manager Rick Walk. And with that, all those who are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I will read our land acknowledgement. We, the City of Lacey, are on the ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including Nisqually Indian Tribe and Squaxin Island Tribe. We acknowledge and remember those tribal people not recognized today who were absorbed or relocated into other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors and their descendants who are still here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have the responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as they have today. We recommend that the community members read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854. And with that, can I get a motion for our agenda and consent agenda items?
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda as published.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about the agenda or consent agenda items? Seeing none, all in favor of approving that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously, and we have an agenda. The first item on our agenda tonight is public comment, and it looks like we have two people signed up for public comment, and we also had 4 written public comments, which will be added to the record for this meeting. Tonight, we have our first person who is going to comment is Michael Day. Sir Michael Day, please come to the podium, state your name, the city that you live in, and try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, ladies and gentlemen from the council. My name is Michael Day, and I am simply here to introduce myself as the new CEO of Experience Olympia and Beyond. I've been in town on the job for 6 days, in town for 7. And I'm equally honored and proud to be back in my home waters of the Pacific Northwest. I'm here to help promote tourism. Lacey's near and dear to my heart. From my old high school days, playing against Lacey High School when they had one high school. And Lacey High School, my high school, are no longer in existence. They've been absorbed. But I just simply wanted to introduce myself and say hello. I look forward to introducing myself more to each one of you and working closely with you to promote tourism here in Lacey.
Thank you for your
Yeah, if I may.
for your comments. Please.
Hey, Michael, nice name, first of all. 3 of us have sat on the VCB board in the past. Nick is currently sitting on it, so yeah, look forward to a lot of good work.
Thank you. I look forward to it as well.
Thank you for your
very much.
comments, and welcome to the community.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Next, we have Matthew Sweeney. Mr. Sweeney, please come to the podium and introduce yourself.
He's too good. Good evening, Deputy Mayor, members of the council. My name is Matthew Sweeney. I'm here to speak briefly on a real estate project in your city. You know this project because it used to have a large metallic yellow sculpture on it that was kind of a landmark to find the project. The project has been dead for 24 months. It's known as Homes on Martin. My clients recently bought it. My clients took the tower crane down. My clients are stabilizing the situation out there, getting it safe for workers to be there, and assessing some pretty dramatic construction flaws and failures, concrete failures, which need to be addressed. Unfortunately, we're going to have to take about a half step back before we can step forward on this project and get it moving forward again. And I'm not going to make any bones about it. It's a challenge. It's a real challenge. We did a bunch of due diligence. We found a lot of things out there. We worked extensively with city staff about the pros and cons of going forward, and it was a close call. But I'll tell you, I sat out there with my client, and one of the deciding factors was, this is the city of Lacey. Staff seems very professional. The city seems to be pretty receptive. I won't make any bones about it. There are different jurisdictions in this state and different ways of doing business in this state, and I have been in many, many jurisdictions, as has my client. And we have, decided that this very difficult project we're willing to assume in your city. And we're looking forward to getting it done. It's going to be, I can't sugarcoat it, it's going to be 24 to 36 months. That's just all there is to it. I also can't sugarcoat it. It's right there on the street. I mean, you can't even, so construction vehicles pulling in, people pulling out, it's a tough site. There's a lot of stuff that's going on there, and it's just so close to the street. And we were wistfully thinking about 100-foot setback from the street with a bunch of trees to shield us. No such luck. We're going to be under the microscope. But we will commit to the city and to our own financial future to making this thing go forward. And we hope to work with your staff in depth as we do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I've been outreaching to the adjoining neighbors. I was handing out some flyers. I've written to all the adjoining property owners, indicating what our time schedule is and what they can expect from us, giving them my personal contact information, so that if anybody has any problems with what's going on out there, you call me, preferably before the city. Let me see what I can do about it, and then we'll try to make it right.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We look forward to your project.
Thank you for investing in Lacey.
Okay, next on our agenda is resolutions, and tonight we have Resolution 1170, our 6-year transportation improvement program. And it looks like tonight we have Martin Hoppy, our transportation manager, presenting.
Deputy Mayor and Council. Tonight we are requesting the adoption of the Resolution 1170 to adopt the 2026 6-year TIP and the transportation mitigation list. This is our annual requirement that we do every year. The main purpose is to track state and federal grants, regionally significant project, and it is the backbone to our mitigation list. All projects must be consistent with the comprehensive transportation plan, so when we finish that later this year, we will have a bigger list next year. Planning Commission held a hearing on June 25th. No one from the public attended, and they recommended approval. This year, there are several changes. As far one modification, which is the College Street Corridor Phase 3, which is basically from 22nd project to Lacey Boulevard with the roundabout at 16th. Mm-hmm. So we applied for 2 grants this year, and we just bumped up the construction costs to correlate with those grant requests. We have 3 new projects that they're all roundabouts. The intersection of Britton Parkway and Western. Britton Parkway, what we call Central, but it lines up with Callison on the other side of the street, and Marvin and Stillicum. All 3 of those came up that they will fail before 2050. So you get till 2028 to 2050, somewhere in there it's going to fail depending on development. And we removed the Rainier Road from 66 to Yelm Highway because we're fully funded and started that. We will start that pretty much in about a month or 2. As far as the mitigation list, the construction cost index this year was 2.5%. And the new residential cap is $2,454. And other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I would move to adopt Resolution 1170, adopting the 2026 6-year Transportation Improvement Program, TIP, and the Transportation Improvement Mitigation List.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Martin, can you just sharpen us up on the residential cap a little bit, please?
Basically, it was something we set up when we originally set up traffic mitigation. So we give commercial projects a 50% discount on trips because of their tax-generating revenue, and the ordinance or the RCW that we use required that. So what we did in exchange is we said no single-family house would be charged more than this number. And it's, the only thing that's changed is based on the construction cost index every year since then.
So then, when you say single-family residence will not be charged more than $2,400, is that existing or
It would only be for new projects.
only new projects?
And it has to be a project bigger than a duplex.
Okay. Anything further from the council? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of motion 1170, or resolution 1170, and the motion that's been presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Okay, next, under the mayor's report, we have the appointment recommendations of the mayor tonight, who is absent. We can proceed with those appointments, council willing. And let me just pull these up. Okay, so our first appointment tonight is for Ann Campbell, applicant for car PFD. 7 years overseeing, okay. And I will go ahead and move that Ann be appointed to car PFD.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I noticed on, with Ann's, it states that she's from Tumwater. I didn't know if that made a difference.
I'll defer to our city management.
Yeah, well, good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members. And so I do just want to point out that the two recommendations that are being put forward tonight are for district-wide appointees. And so the jurisdiction of their residency does not matter for this purpose. We just are appointing a district-wide appointees. And they will have to be appointed similarly to this board, appointing them by the cities of Tumwater, Olympia, and Thurston County.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously, and Ann has been appointed. Our next appointment tonight is also for car PFD, appointment recommendation for Jeff Line. This is also a district-wide appointee. I will move that we appoint Mr. Line to the car PFD.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. And our last appointment for tonight is for our Parks, Culture, and Recreation Board. We'll be reappointing Bill, I don't want to screw up your name, Bill, Fosbury. Is that right? That's good enough. I will go ahead and move that we reappoint Mr. Bill Fosbury to the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Board.
Second.
Is moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about appointing Mr. Fosbury to the board? None? Okay, it has been moved and seconded. No discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Does that complete our boards, the PFD board?
That is correct. That is all of the positions on our car PFD.
Okay, and they're all filled. And our Parks Board, there's one more position, is there?
I believe we filled all of the positions. However, I'll defer to our Parks, Culture, and Recreation Director, Jen Burbidge.
Did we get Commissioner Fosbury already?
Correct. Yep.
That's the only one we had for tonight.
Oh, is it? Does that round out the board? Or do we have any available positions after that?
We don't currently have any vacancies.
Okay.
No. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is our city manager's report.
Well, council members, I have two items here on the city manager's report, and our first one is going to be the Meridian Campus production well, and so I'd like to invite Jason Kashani, our utility engineer, up for a presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening, Honorable Deputy Mayor and council members. Staff recommends award. Sorry, am I not doing this right?
There you go.
Went too far. Staff recommends award of Lacey contract number PW 2022-28 to low bidder Holt Services Incorporated in the amount of $2,058,244.06. And the engineer's estimate was $1,981,642.74. This is our Meridian Campus production well, part of our comprehensive plan. If you remember, I was here probably a month ago asking you guys to award the Marvin Road production well. These are pretty specialized work. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of a pool of contractors to choose from, and we only got one bidder on this project due to drillers' availability, trying to meet the city's timeline on getting this well online. We've allotted 130 working days for this project, and we expect the drilling to begin by January of 2026. So this is, again, part of the city's planned improvements to meet current and future demands for water production. The project drills and develops a 16-inch diameter production well to a depth of approximately 715 feet for this one. The water right for this well is 1,000 acre feet annually with a expected capacity of 800 gallons per minute. I must have known the mayor was not going to be with us tonight, so I included a picture of him so he's here in spirit. Again, this is one of two production wells that we're trying to drill somewhat simultaneously, and we're actually pleased that we actually got Holt as a low bidder on this one, because they're the ones that actually won the Marvin Well site. So drilling these wells, hopefully we can kind of do them back to back in conjunction with our hydrogeologists and actually get a little additional information by having the same driller drill both wells. Hopefully we're able to coordinate with them drilling the well, both wells at the same time. We're hoping that they can do kind of both back to back. I think that's their plan too. And once we drill one well, go next to the next well and drill the other one, and then start pumping, doing our pump tests out of one well and see how it's affecting the other well, since they're both drawing from the same aquifer. So I just kind of showed you a site plan that shows generally the area of both wells with a zoomed in site of our Meridian Campus well site. Previously when I was, so the project stages, I mean, we're kind of all bringing this one to fruition. We're, between securing the water rights and drilling the test wells, so we know what kind of water quantity and quality that we're expecting after securing the property. Now we're actually getting ready to drill the production well, and after the production well comes the treatment and well house, the treatment facility. And just like my last presentation, I just kind of wanted to give you some specifics about the design for this well. Again, we're going 715 feet deep. Kind of showed a picture of what a well screen looks like inside the geological formation. And we are going 715 feet deep. The other well was 750 feet deep. Our hydrogeologist does feel like there's some additional water down below, so we have included in the work exploring just a little bit down further to see if there is another zone for production. And like that last presentation, I kind of was showing, actually, if I go back to that well design, we show the upper 430 feet of a 20-inch outer basically a borehole, so we're just basically going to drill down as fast as we can and get down to below 430 feet, deeper than 430 feet deep. And that's where we're expecting the production zones to be. So we have two different types of drill rigs, one to make quick work of the upper zones, and then we're going to slow down and use the cable tool rig to really slow down and see what kind of soils that we're dealing with. So, because when we drill our test well, we get a good idea of what those soils are like, but every time, yeah, depending on where we go on the site, we are generally just dealing with slightly different soils. So we're going to be working closely with the hydrogeologist to determine where exactly those production zones are. So. And I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I would move to award Lacey contract number PW 2022-28 to low bidder Holt Services Incorporated from Milton, Washington, in the amount of $2,058,244.06.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions?
Well, I did that without my reading glasses, so that's a good one.
Nice. Very nice, sir.
One bidder, but it's Holt. They're good. So, I think
Yeah, we were hoping for a little bit more competitive environment, but again, I mean, we kind of had to push the last one out to make sure that we could get some drillers bidding on this one. There was a couple of other drillers that were, that are capable of performing the work, but they couldn't quite meet our timeline. We were lucky to still get Holt. I mean, they seemed like they're a pretty big company that can handle a lot of work. So at least, I mean, being a little bit higher than the engineer's estimate, at least it's still within reason. And again, having the same driller really helps us out, I think, with both wells.
I remember last time you were here, you were talking about 750 feet, and I just remember thinking how that's a long way for a well.
Right.
space name.
You know, the most I had heard of before that was about 480 feet, and that was pretty far. But you really surpassed that. How far apart are these two wells?
That I mean, they're within, I would have to guess, probably a couple miles. I'm sorry, I don't have
Couple miles.
the right answer or the exact answer for that. But
And what typically happens when we access the same aquifer from two different locations?
so, I mean, that is part of some of the study that we do, like when we're actually pumping, I mean, so they call it specific capacity of a well. As we start pumping water out at those high rates, the water in the aquifer starts to draw down. And we do have, so we are able to see how, like, you know, the nearby well, because we actually have a couple of other wells nearby at the Hawks Prairie Treatment Facility. I'm not exactly sure in this scenario what really happens, but I mean, it sounds like we have plenty of water down there, but we just still need to make our system a little bit more robust.
And so if you guys are good. So typically when I think of like a well, especially if there's two of them, I'm thinking, you know, somewhere between the two or somewhere in the near vicinity, we need to have infiltration. Is that are we going to be having some infiltration coming soon, or is that in a future plan, or do we really believe there's enough down there?
Right. So, I mean, I know we do work with LOT on the infiltration. We are required to recharge I think it's the Woodland Creek and a couple of other, or maybe just one other facility that we are required to recharge as, I'm not exactly sure on the specifics, but I don't think that's going to be changing with this well. So basically these wells are, so we can actually, so we got some water rights to basically account for the growing population. Yep. And the water right allows us to pull that water out of the ground. I don't think we have to do any sort of mitigation to meet that. But all that stuff, I think, is taken care of through LOT. I mean, I think we work closely in conjunction with those infiltration requirements.
Okay. Scott, you have something you want to add?
Yeah, so the type of infiltration depends on, you know, the depth of the aquifer
And, for example, shallow aquifer, it'd be source 4 down in Capital City. That source is only about 60 feet deep. So there is a direct infiltration from rainfall in that area. But at 750 feet deep, consider, these aquifers are somewhat like underground rivers. So that source comes from miles away. And yeah, there's more to this than just direct rainfall infiltration. And so actually, there is no connection between this aquifer and, say, the lot infiltration ponds and that kind of thing. But yeah, so to answer your question, the number of well sources that draw from a specific aquifer, varies depending on the size of the aquifer, the capacity of the aquifer, and we study that and analyze that, so it's not overused. But so to answer your specific question, this isn't the water that charges this aquifer isn't rainfall that falls in this area.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it. I was like, man, 750 feet is a long way down for any infiltration area to reach. So how does it? I still don't understand how it really replenishes. But if it's an underground river, that would make a little bit more sense. But just that's my brain nerds out like that. So thank you for.
Excellent question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
Well, it has been moved and seconded to award this contract. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. We have one more item on the city manager's report, and that is our Parks Annual Report, and that'll be given by our Parks, Culture, and Recreation Director, Jen Burbidge.
Well, good evening, Council. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about Parks and Recreation Month. Joining me today is going to be Sue Falash, and so we're talking about Parks and Rec Month, but also our 2024 annual report. We do this every year, and it's just such a pleasure to talk to you about the many benefits that Parks, Culture, and Recreation has on a community, and really a chance to foster connection between people in the community. And I'll talk a little bit about this year's theme. Maybe. Here we go. So for 40 years now, Parks and Recreation Month has been celebrated to promote building strong, vibrant communities through the power of Parks and Recreation, and recognize the more than 160,000 full-time park and recreation professionals, along with hundreds of thousands of part-time and seasonal workers and volunteers who maintain our country's local, state, and community parks. So National Parks and Recreation Association's theme this year is Build Together, Play Together. And this celebrates the many ways that our professionals across the country build spaces, communities, and programs for people to come together and play, and all the benefits that come from those connections, activities, and really just being outside. So here in Lacey, we're celebrating Parks and Rec Month by sharing stories of what we've built together and are building towards creating those crucial opportunities for play and all the benefits that come from the connections. So the Parks and Recreation industry has incredibly positive impacts on the community, childhood development, health, the environment, and the economy. Starting out with community, the services offered by Parks and Rec fosters connection between neighbors. It counters isolation by connecting people with nature and with each other through festivals, parades, social events, performing arts, tours, and other programming, and we know that a lot of that is going on, obviously, in Lacey this summer. In regards to childhood development, Parks and Rec is a leading provider of childcare and out-of-school time programming. It's a leader in youth sports, providing opportunities for children of all skills. They don't need to be on a select team. They can just get out there and play together no matter what the level. And it's just super important for these kiddos to be able to do this with a variety of sports and physical activities. And then regarding health, physically and mentally healthy, living close to parks and other recreation facilities is consistently related to higher physical activity levels for both adults and youth. And parks provide a connection to nature, which studies demonstrate relieves stress, stress, strengthens interpersonal relationships, and improves mental health. Environmental benefits, not only are parks spaces good for our community, they're also good for the environment. And so Parks and Rec is essential and has adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities more resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. Parks lower ground temperatures with a tree canopy. They clean the water, reduce flooding, and contribute to healthier air. So economic benefits of Parks and Rec is kind of a less obvious one, but there's a positive economic impact that local Parks and Rec has on communities. In the state of Washington, the parks and recreation industry supported over 23,400 jobs in 2019, resulting in $6.4 billion of economic activity. And they just do these reports every so often, so there's going to be a more updated one coming out. But that just shows the economic impact. So in addition to sharing these benefits with you, staff this evening, I wanted to share that staff have prepared special social media campaign for the whole month of July, and that's already been underway, to highlight the ways that we build together and play together. And it will feature different ways of what Lacey is doing. There's a video with the South Puget Sound Disc Golf Association and highlighting our partnership with them to build disc golf courses. There's one at Woodland Creek Community Park, and then there's the new one at Great Cuyo Park. How we build spaces for community is going to be highlighted with a behind-the-scenes look with community center staff. And then how we build curiosity for nature through our trail scavenger hunt partnership with Stream Team and Nature Sleuths. And then will be highlighted with a video, and I'm gonna actually share that one with you today. And then how our programs build confidence and community by hearing stories from families who participate in Teen Late Night and our Sports Sprouts programs. So it's really cool. You can see all of these posts and more on Facebook and Instagram at City of Lacey Parks. And until you have a chance to check out the other ones, here's a sneak preview of the Nature Sleuths.
Happy July is Parks Month, and this week we're building together with Stream Team and Lacey's Water Resource Group. Stream Team raises awareness about local waters with hands-on learning and activities. It's a cooperative effort between the cities of Lacey, Tumwater, and Olympia alongside Thurston County. This time we did Nature Sleuths. Nature Sleuths is a family-friendly treasure hunt, taking you all over to different parks and sites, searching for local flora and fauna. Arlo, Harrison, and Allie took me on an adventure near the William Ives Trail in Lacey to find some lichen, which we soon saw, and Harrison will tell us more about it.
Lichen is a symbiotic relationship between a fungus and an algae. The two feed each other and help each other to survive. Lichen have been very popular in use in indigenous cultures around here, used for mask making and decoration, used for bedding and for diapers. Wild animals around here use the lichen for nesting material and whatnot. Lichen are found all over Washington state, and they can be an indicator of good air quality. Some species are very sensitive to different pollutants, and if they are growing, that tells you that there is a good air quality there.
Thanks for sharing all those neat facts about lichen, Harrison. It's really important to see how lichen builds together for our communities and ecological systems. So, on our way out of the trail, we made sure to take a photo of the lichen in order to get our sweet prize from Nature Sleuths. I'm looking forward to getting a banana slug sticker in the mail. To learn more about Nature Sleuths, visit streamteam.info/Nature Sleuths. Anyways, it's back to City Hall for us.
Yeah, so like I said, happy Parks and Rec Month, and thank you to all the staff giving it their all every day for Lacey community and all the volunteers and other partners. We really, really appreciate you. And Sue Faylash is going to go ahead and give our annual report, and while she's walking up here, just want to express appreciation for all of her efforts and leadership for our department. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Council, for having me today. It's always such a pleasure to sit and be able to come before you and talk about all the exciting things that Lacey Parks does, not only the Parks Culture and Recreation Department, but the Parks Maintenance Team. Everything that we do out in the parks, whether it be the 3rd of July, Lacey and Tune, the ball fields, it's a collaborative effort between both sides. And it's really exciting to see how wonderful and how beautiful our parks and everything is. So I will be talking a little bit about both. In this, not only the recreation side, but the park side. Oops, I went the wrong way. Wait a minute.
Happy July.
There we go. This is our 2024 annual report. As you might know, each year, the Parks, Culture, and Recreation staff work with the park maintenance staff to produce this annual report. We'll view the entire, you can view the, excuse me, the entire document on the website, but I'm going to just give you a few highlights of the different sections, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Right now, I'm going to dive into a few of the highlights. Lacey Parks consists of 1,269 acres, 26 developed parks and trails, and 35 park properties. These properties, there's a variety of amenities. We have everything from trails, sports fields, tennis courts, pickleball courts, skate park, all kinds of stuff. Most Lacey residents live within 1.5 miles driving or a 10-minute walk from a Lacey Parks. And that's a goal for all of the residents in Lacey at some time, is to be able to have that 10-minute walk to your park facility. Athletic facilities. If we're comparing 2020, did I go too far? Oh, see, maybe you should have done this for me. I know. I thought I could handle it. Compared to 2023, every category here has increased. In 2024, the Regional Athletic Complex was booked 360 days out of the year, which added up to nearly 12,000 hours of rental use, generating over $560,000 in revenue. The longstanding joint use agreement that we have with the North Thurston Public Schools generated 18,000 worth of hours of North Thurston Public Schools and city field use. For those of you that aren't familiar, the City of Lacey schedules all of the North Thurston Public Schools fields. In turn, we get in revenue, and then we turn around, and some of that goes back. We save a 10%, goes back to the district, but we facilitate all of that use. We also facilitated 1,800 hours of pool use that was scheduled by Lacey Parks for not only our programs, but community use such as swim teams as well. Recreation side, over there. Additionally, through our programming and special events, in 2024, we generated nearly 350,000 hours of recreation in the community. We put on 35 different events, completely free of charge, where over 79,000 people attended what we were offering. This is a great opportunity for all of our citizens, not only of Lacey, but of Thurston County, to come in and actually have free recreation through like the 3rd of July or our Lacey and Tune, all those events. It's a great opportunity for them to get out and explore and enjoy our community. Last year, we offered 986 classes and programs, ranging from swim lessons to Latin dance, summer day camps, adult hiking trips, and so much more. A little bit more about the Regional Athletic Complex. It's one of our true gems. Not only was it used 360 days a year, it was estimated to have a direct economic impact of $13,630,000, which was courtesy of the Experience Olympia and Beyond. And the complex has a variety of uses. We've had cribbage, we've had lacrosse, we've got flag football, we had the USL soccer, we've got baseball tournaments. We just finished hosting, Janet Crater had the Cascade Nationals fast pitch tournament there this last week. So it's a great community asset. Moving on, sponsorships. Sponsorships play a great role in what we were able to offer. In collaboration, we had 34 various sponsors for special events and Regional Athletic Complex. A combined total of 83, a little over 83,000 was brought in to offset operational costs and to ensure those 35 community events are offered and could remain free to the public. Financial assistance program. We offer a great financial assistance program. It allows an opportunity for those in the community that are not able to afford our programs to be able to sign up and partake in all of the classes. In our commitment to eliminate barriers for participation in Parks Recreation programming, we were able to award over $13,000 in financial assistance, allowing 60 unique participants to engage in recreation program who likely, otherwise would not have. The other really important part of our programs is volunteers. Volunteers are another way in which we engage our neighbors. They give back to the community and promote a financial responsibility to the general fund through our volunteer hours. As you can see in 2024, the worker volunteer program was evaluated as $171,000 of labor as residents worked in our parks, at our events, and in our programs. Stop. See? Okay, back at it. Whew. Next, I want to talk just a little bit about the museum. I know that Aaron was here and talked to you guys in May, but in 2024, the Lacey Museum continued to do their history talks. Speaking, it's a series were great success. It was launched in the summer, and they have fall craft projects to draw in more visitors, reviewed and prepared for the interpretive kiosk at the rack, and that was installed earlier this year, and began the process of moving to the new space on 6th Avenue. They also hosted 882 visitors in person, as well as 2,122 virtual program participants, and had 456 hours of volunteer time donated for the museum. The community buildings have bounced back in full force. Everything, they're back to being pretty much full and going through the roof. Compared to 2023, once again, the facility matrix, the amount of time that was used and the amount of rentals have increased. Both the Jacob Smith House Community Center as well as our park picnic shelters were booked more than that past year than they had, resulting in the picnic shelters alone resulted in 1,500 additional hours of picnic shelter use than we had the year before. So people are getting out and using our parks and using our picnic shelters more than they were back when it was COVID, or pre-COVID. So that's really exciting to see. As I said earlier, that with parks, what we do for the parks, culture, and recreation would not be possible without the park maintenance staff. There it is. It is up there. As you can see by the slide, they were extremely busy in 2024. They completed 1,656 work order requests, maintained 78 park properties, removed 75 instances of graffiti, planted over 500 trees. Additionally, they installed a flagpole at the baseball fields at Rainier Vista, installed 24 new park rule signs, and removed 14.56 tons of debris with the rapid response cleanup team. That's only just a few things. That doesn't even come close to everything that they do, from keeping all of the grass mowed and the streets done and everything. It's what they do. For the amount of staff they have, they're incredible, and we wouldn't be able to be here without them. Some of the current conditions that we're in right now, 2024, did serve as a strong reminder of the challenges that for us to maintain our current services and the commitment amidst Lacey's growing population and the park system's aging infrastructure. Lacey has grown 33% in the past 10 years, 80% in the last 20. Nearly all of our playgrounds are out of warranty, and our recent comprehensive plan identified nearly $70 million worth of needed capital improvement replacements. We are grateful that the council committed to forming the Park Improvement Funding Work Group and the work those community members developed for the funding recommendation, which is being shared with the public now. Thank you once again for doing that, providing that for us. And once again, thank you, council members, for your time and this opportunity to come before you this evening and share our highlights with you. We're fortunate that through your support and partnership with Park Maintenance, we're able to offer the variety of services and opportunities for our community. Do you have any questions?
Councilmember Greenstein.
Just one quick question. Any idea of numbers for the 3rd of July yet?
Not yet. It takes, the geofencing that they get for us takes 6 weeks
Oh, okay.
to get in. So we will be getting, as soon as we have that, I'll be more than happy to pass those numbers along. I'm interested to see, to be perfectly honest. That
I
place
mean,
was packed.
it seemed like a great
Really?
crowd. I mean,
Oh,
it
it
was
was.
a phenomenal event. And I'll just add that the Parks Department, all of you on both the maintenance and the recreation side do an amazing job. Lacey Parks are by far the biggest attraction we have in the city. So thank you for all the work you guys do.
Second.
So hopefully those of you that did go to the 3rd of July, you thought it was as packed as I did. So,
I did, and you know what? I can't remember a time where I saw that many kids, like 20 years old and less, in one place in the city. And it was phenomenal. So I go over to the part where the skate park is and just kind of try to get a feel for it. And there were so many of them, it was ridiculous. And I was so happy to see that because, you don't really get to see them come out that much. Maybe they're playing video games or whatever, but it was nice to see. And then I had a question, I know that, we've identified a lot of maintenance and we've identified, things that we want to upgrade and capital things. And I know it's difficult to say where do we start. And I did see some slides in a different meeting about, here's some possible starting spots and so on and so forth. And one of the things two of the things that came to my thought was Wanchers Park, and I know that there's a big master plan for that. Maybe one day we'll get to that. The other thing was Long Lake and the newly acquired piece of property adjacent to the current park. Do you think maybe one day we would have a dock over there?
we had a dock at one time out there, and there were studies that were done to show that it was more of a hazard than it was a benefit, because the liability for kids going underneath the dock and different things. So we had moved that dock, and that was what was the last fishing dock on Long's Pond, and I think that got replaced, but
And it has handrails on it. and
Yeah.
everything,
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
we,
good.
that one's actually up for replacement now.
is it?
Yeah. But we
But yeah.
were able to repurpose it over.
That's what we did the polar bear plunge on for decades. you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's-
And it sunk.
Yeah, it was,
For decades.
It can hold a lot of people. That's right.
And then when I was at Hicks Lake, I also saw that the developer has built themselves a dock on the part that they're planning on developing and building the apartment complex for over there.
That is great for them.
Yep. Any other questions before I?
Just a brief comment. Thank you for this report. I mean, it's really amazing how well you can tell the story of our wonderful park system by the numbers.
But that doesn't even tell it all. You
No,
gotta
it
go-
doesn't,
You
but
show
it's-
up at the event like the 3rd of July or, the Lacey and Tune, go out to some of the softball games. It's watching the youth that are out there, though we don't run the youth sports. They're all using our facilities we're scheduling, so we're seeing how many of those kids are impacted by what we do, and it's a great feeling to have.
Thank you.
I drive by Cuyo Park as often as I can.
That's gonna be
and
nice.
I see that asphalt has been laid down recently, and it's starting to really take shape. And I can't remember the completion date for that project. I think it's late this year, early next year,
This fall.
this fall. And Phase 1A is supposed to be done this fall. And then I'm sorry to keep going, but our parks are really,
fine.
really a highlight for us.
We can
So-
talk about it all day.
Yeah. So there has yet to be one time that I get up on Saturday morning. I get on my bicycle and I ride over to the rack. And not once have I gone out there where people, and this is pretty early in the morning, and not once have I gone out there where either there wasn't somebody already there or shelters weren't reserved or, that place wasn't already going. And this is like 7:30 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's earlier. It's a very busy place.
Busy
And it goes till at least 10 o'clock at night most nights, especially in the summer. Weekends, we kind of push the envelope a little bit, some tournaments, but,
And the additional parking is already,
oh, it's great. It's a wonderful addition. It has been very well received and very well used.
Well, yeah, I will say, so me and Sue's kids, along with Andy's and a couple other people on the council, all pretty much grew up together and went through the park system over the last 20 years. And through pandemics and recessions and depressions and economic booms and population booms and everything under the sun you can imagine, it's grown and grown and grown, you know, in the good times and the bad. And I think that's because the city embraces it. The staff is all about, you know, people enjoying themselves and the quality of life, you know, outside of work and that sort of thing. And so it's hats off to you guys. And I'd be willing to bet that out of that 70,000+ people that visit the parks every year, 20,000 on average a year is that one day at 3rd of July.
yep.
You know what I mean? And I bet you it's probably 25,000 this year.
Yeah.
So,
It's,
hats off, you guys do a great job, you know, it's amazing.
so just out of curiosity, since I've got kind of a captive audience, is there, because we'll start, you know, we're going to start looking into the year, first of the year for next year, is there anything that you haven't seen that you would like us to touch on in any of these annual reports? Oh, that's easy enough then. I was giving you an opportunity because I'm going to start working on it.
Just so you know, with the parks being spread out through the city the way they are, one of the things is I'm wondering if like South Lacey parks get used as much as some of the other parks, or Thornberry, or
Thornberry is highly used. Lake Point, all of our parks. I won't even say any was used more. They're all booked. Thornberry has youth soccer in there constantly. Lake Point has youth baseball and it has soccer in it. We are lacking out in the Hawks Prairie area.
yeah.
We don't have, and as soon as we get something out there, it's going to be booked just as much as they are. I wish I had the number of when Byron talked about it in our last meeting of actually how many different reservations he has made so far on the fields. It was higher than I remember. I mean, it was amazing how many fields that different reservations he's making.
And then the last thing I'll leave with is, you know, I know our Polynesian community has really been pressing and pushing and really wanting a cricket pitch in somewhere in the city where they can bring, you know, their audience to the city of Lacey as well. And I'm hoping that we keep that in, you know, in our future plan, if at all possible. I know they've asked many times, and they continue to ask me every time I go to their events.
And they have had some portable.
We do have,
pitch.
we do have a place at the rack with a
They have
portable
a portable
pitch.
pitch that they have used up on between 5 and 6.
And
On
I
a
would
couple
say,
times.
you know, I'd mentioned after we built the pickleball courts, you saw how that's exploded. Now there's tournaments all over the place, you know, several times a year. And so if you build it, they will come to kind of.
Is that the temporary pitch that we talked about, the big rubber mat pitch? And we do have that now, and they are using it?
Oh, they have it. We've been storing it out at the rack for them to use.
Okay.
They've used it a few times. They have booked it and then not used it. So it's kind of up in the air. It's there, it's available if they make a reservation and we have the space. It's not one that you can just call up on a Friday and say, hey, I really want to use field 5 and 6 for cricket this weekend because it's going to be booked.
Okay.
So, and we've met with them a number of times and are trying our best to facilitate them as well.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing that along and pushing that rock up the hill. I know it was one of those things that you know, 2-3 years ago, they came in kind of hot and heavy on it, and you know, we said we'll do what we can to help with that situation, so we
We're
appreciate
trying.
your assistance in that.
Only do so much with what we've got, so.
Any other
All right, if
comments
there are
from the
no more
council?
questions,
Okay.
once again, thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Well, thank you, council, and that concludes the city manager's report.
Okay. The next item on our agenda, council reports. And with the mayor missing, that puts me going first. And I just want to, I have one quick report, and that is for the LTAC meeting that we had on July 10th. We did get an MPD presentation. We had our discussion, a light discussion about the FIFA fan zone. We kind of got that update and made sure that each of the members of the committee had the same document that you guys have showing, outlining costs and outlining revenue. And so we haven't really had a really deep discussion about it just yet. They know what the ask is, they know what the potential revenue is, but we don't have an application yet. And so once we do have an application, we'll be able to take a deeper dive into that event. Applications are open, and they've been open since July 6th. And they will be open through August 22nd. That's more than the typical 30 days that we've been doing in previous times. And so we want to make sure that as many applicants can get in as possible. As you guys know, we switched from paper applications to digital applications a season ago. We did a hybrid year, and nobody has said bring the paper applications back. So we're good there. We did have a couple of draft policies that we wanted to address in this cycle. Some things that we thought might help along the process. As you guys know, we instituted a rubric a season ago, and that's been working out pretty good. But a couple of our responses and survey information from some of the applicants have led us to do a couple other things. One of those things is to allow 40% of lodging tax funding per recipient to be used for preparatory marketing expenses before the event. With marketing costs being a little bit higher, and a lot of that is, well, I won't say a lot of that, but also insurance costs going up. Some of the applicants have said, if we could get some marketing dollars prior to, typically what happens is it's a reimbursement. So they spend the dollars, prove that they spend the dollars, and we reimburse them the dollars that they spent. And so, but in this case, in order for a really successful event to happen, sometimes we need to front load a little bit so that they can market the event, so that they can get the participation that they really need for their event to be as successful as it can be. And so we as a committee voted that we would allow 40% of their Lacey funding to be front loaded for marketing expenses this year and potentially in future years. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's going to help in terms of turnout for their event, and hopefully, be a bigger draw for them. We also had a request from staff to receive a 5% allocation for administrative costs to all the LTAC applicants. So since we in these last 2 years, a lot of improvements have been made to the LTAC processes. One of them, again, is our application being online. Now as opposed to 3 employees, 3 FTEs who usually have a touch on the application process and the cycle and the administering of funds and all those things like that, we're almost at like 6 full-time employees working on these things, not dedicated to these things, but working on them. So in order to cover some of the administrative costs, we have decided that we will allocate up to 5% of the LTAC dollars, just the tax dollars, not the interest income or any of the other pieces, up to a maximum of $40,000 of annual lodging tax revenues. And so hopefully in the next year, when we have more units online, there's one that's in permit processing and one that is proposed. The 5% won't hurt as much, I'll say, because I at first, honestly, you guys, I wasn't really for it, because in my mind I'm thinking, some for the city means less for the community. Okay, but we had this robust discussion about it, and we really looked and saw all the work that the city does to make LTACs as successful as it is in this community, and we have yet most LTACs do, I think, somewhere around 10%, somewhere in that ballpark. Was it?
It's very dependent on the jurisdiction of what is set aside for administrative costs, but there are other jurisdictions that do provide LTAC dollars for administrative costs.
We do 0 until this most recent cycle. So that was one that we passed. We are also considering doing a $5,000 award minimum. And the reason for that is because the administrative costs for the recipients to process all this stuff oftentimes outweighs the $2,000 or $3,000 that we gave them. So if we bump it up to $5,000, there's a likelihood that they will actually use the dollars, because we have had situations where people just couldn't afford to use the money or didn't use it for whatever reason. I think our number for the last cycle was somewhere in the range of, if I remember right, $11,000 that didn't get used, somewhere in that ballpark. And then we also are entertaining a $25,000 cap for funding awards issued to tourism-related facilities outside the city of Lacey or the UGA. So there are some events that are outside of Lacey, but they do have a benefit to Lacey. We are looking at possibly capping those so that we can do more in Lacey. We did have a couple people speak on that. Washington Center came and spoke on that. We heard them and we understand, but again, these dollars are for Lacey residents and Lacey events primarily, and we want to stick to that and honor that as much as we possibly can. So that is something that I'll keep you guys posted on in this next cycle, and that is my report. Councilmember Greenstein.
Quick question for you on that.
Yeah.
Do those policies come to the council, or are they decided on by the LTAC board?
They will be a recommendation to the council from the board.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. I do not have a report tonight.
Councilmember Sedman.
No report.
Councilmember Cox.
I have one for me, and I'll give one for Robin as well. She's asked me to do that. So let me. All right. So Intercity Transit Authority met on July 2nd, and we did a couple of pieces of business. One was to authorize general manager to execute what's called a task order with a company called WSP in the amount of $209,948 and change. This is a long-range forecasting tool that will replace the one that has been in place since 2004 and has become quite obsolete and difficult, and the accuracy of the tool is just not good. So this project will have project management and coordination. It will have data gathering and development of model assumptions. It will have a forecasting tool, development and scenario planning, comprehensive reporting, training and knowledge transfer. So it'll be a much better system that will help us greatly. We also adopted a resolution that updates the employees' retirement plan and trust documents. These were pretty minor changes to the document, but it wraps up all the little changes that have taken place since 2014 in a big refresh, if you will, of the document. And then we received a similar briefing by Katrina Van Every, the transportation manager from the Thurston Regional Planning Council. In fact, she visited Intercity Transit before she came here to give the presentation about the regional transportation plan. I'll get into that more in the report out of the Thurston Regional Planning Council meeting, but the Transit Authority voted unanimously to pull the Log Cabin Road Extension Project from the Regional Transportation Plan as requested by the City of Olympia. And I also voted unanimously for keeping climate change and diversity, equity, and inclusion language in the regional plan. And then for all of you who went to the South Sound Barbecue Festival, I hope you enjoyed a visit by the popular Bubble Bus. It always adds a festive element to our events. So that's intercity transit. And then Regional Planning Council met on July 11th. We approved recommendations from the Executive Director Recruitment Subcommittee, which Robin and I both serve on. This process involves hiring a consultant to help with a national search, and we hope to have a new director in place by October. We also approved job description and a pay range for the new director. We appointed a 6-member subcommittee to develop priorities for the 2026 legislative session and assist in meetings with state legislators during this session. And TRPC really wanted to get an earlier start because they want to start talking this summer with the legislative delegations. On the Regional Transportation Plan, we adopted the Transportation Policy Board's recommendations for the plan. And the Policy Board recommended that the Log Cabin Road extension be removed from the plan, but added the direction that the City of Olympia's upcoming transportation study include assessing the need for the Log Cabin Road extension and possible alternatives to it. And it came without a recommendation on the DEI language, which left in place the vote that we took previously as a council to leave that language and the climate change language in the plan. So it stands as written. And that was that action. We heard a proposal to adjust salaries for TRPC's positions consistent with a completed salary survey. We got a first look at the high-capacity transportation policy statement, which includes draft regional vision statement goals and near-term opportunities. And we also had a mid-year update on the amazing amount of work that the Planning Council staff has done in the first 6 months of this year. So it's a lot. So that is my report.
Councilmember Dunning.
I don't have any reports, but I did want to at least just acknowledge, as you guys saw, I did tour the jungle last week, and if you read the article, and it was very eye-opening in a lot of ways, but what was even more eye-opening was the amount of outreach I got from people who made it out of the jungle, who got off drugs, from organizations and services who were trying to get people out of there, and it's really changed a lot of my views and opened up my mind. And I have about a half dozen meetings set up with people and organizations who've either been in the jungle and live there, and or who are doing things in other cities to try to help end what is going on in our communities. And I'm really trying to keep an open mind about new ways and approaches for trying to solve this issue, because I think we're a little bit out of touch with the people who've actually been there and done that. And so I think I would like to have a longer conversation with the rest of the council at some point, but I think that deserves some time for us to fully do our own research and talk to people and come up with ideas on new ways of approaching it. So that's something that I'm really going to be advocating for in the coming future, and it's something I'm really dedicated to from now on. So I'd really appreciate it if everyone kept an open mind on that, and we really started to listen to people who've actually made it out. And I think if we could get some of those meetings scheduled, which we're already starting to, it would be beneficial for all of us to kind of get more in touch on ways that we can move forward. So I'd appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you so much for reaching out and making that happen. I've had lunch with many a homeless person and just trying to figure out, where, why, how, And every time I've taken one of them out to lunch, I noticed that they weren't on drugs. They didn't smell like alcohol, but they did get priced out of their living situation, which kind of let me know that, not only are we in need of more jobs, but we're also in need of more housing, below market housing. We're fortunate to have the governor's right-of-way project dollars, and for those dollars to continue up in Maple Court, but we do need some sustainable solutions in the near term. Well, with that, we have reached
Deputy Mayor,
Yeah,
point
please.
of personal preference, if I may, and you guys to stop me, but I just want to take a second to honor a close friend and Lacey resident. My friend, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Tim Wojciechowski, he was a Green Beret with 1st Special Forces Group, retired in 2011. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was one of the original horsemen in the Southern Alliance. Everybody's heard about the Northern Alliance and the horsemen and all that. His team rescued Karzai, who became the president of Afghanistan. He did amazing things. He lost his life at 55, but I wanted to honor him. He's a great guy. If people wanted to learn more about him and sacrifices that people make for us here at home, abroad, you could read the book, Only Thing Worth Dying For. And you could see how someone have some struggles in life and serving their country and trying to make the world a better place. But I just want to honor him for a quick second, if I could, and I appreciate that.
Thank you for doing that, and thank you all for all your work on the Gold Star Memorial as well. And with that, we have reached the end of tonight's agenda, and so I will call this meeting adjourned, and you keep it classy, Lacey.